If viewed purely through a legal lens, the decision by Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi to dissolve the national diet is entirely constitutional and far from unusual in Japan's political life. The Constitution grants the Prime Minister this authority as a mechanism to recalibrate the balance of power between the executive and the legislature, or to seek a clearer mandate from voters. Politics, however, is rarely a matter of technical procedure alone. Against a backdrop of mounting economic pressures, strained public finances, and lingering distrust toward the long-ruling Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, following a series of scandals, Takaichi's call for an early general election represents a major political gamble, one with potentially significant rewards but equally substantial risks. At the heart of this gamble lies her pledge to exempt food from the consumption tax for 2 years, a policy proposal with immediate popular appeal in a period of rising living costs. It is a message that is simple, easy to communicate, and capable of resonating broadly with middle and low-income households, groups feeling the sharpest effects of inflation. Yet beneath its surface attractiveness lie complex long-term consequences that touch on the deepest structural contradictions of Japan's fiscal and political model. The early election, therefore, is not merely a referendum on public opinion, but a convergence point of personal power calculations, the LDP's crisis of credibility, and the growing strain within Japan's economic foundations. A closer look at the socio-economic context reveals why cost of living pressures dominate the political landscape. Inflation has exceeded the Bank of Japan's 2% target for nearly 4 consecutive years, an unusual phenomenon for an economy long accustomed to deflation and sluggish growth. More importantly, food prices have risen steadily, affecting daily life in a tangible way. In this context, the 8% consumption tax on food, lower than the 10% rate applied to most other goods, has become a politically and economically sensitive issue. From a policy communication perspective, Takaichi's proposal to suspend the food tax for 2 years is a strategically astute move. It is easily understood, widely shareable, and speaks directly to voters' immediate anxieties. Yet the discussion cannot stop at short-term relief. Consumption tax revenue has long been a central pillar of Japan's fiscal system, supporting healthcare, pensions, and social welfare at a time of rapid population aging and a shrinking workforce. Estimates suggest that exempting food from the tax would result in an annual revenue loss of around 5 trillion yen, a substantial figure for a country already burdened with one of the world's highest public debt levels. Herein lies the paradox. A policy designed to ease today's pressures may well intensify tomorrow's fiscal challenges. What began as a debate over living costs and budgetary constraints has, with the dissolution of the Diet, evolved into a broader political calculation. Many analysts argue that Takaichi's decision reflects not only economic necessity, but also a carefully timed power play by a leader enjoying a rare window of political advantage. First and foremost, she is benefiting from a political honeymoon that few of her predecessors enjoyed. Her personal approval ratings, ranging from 73 to 76%, are exceptionally high in Japan's cautious and often unforgiving political culture. Equally important is her image as a decisive, experienced female leader, untainted by the financial scandals that have plagued the LDP in recent years. This allows her to clearly distinguish herself from the party's tarnished legacy. Dissolving the Diet at this moment can thus be seen as a preemptive strike, capitalizing on personal popularity before economic and fiscal difficulties gradually erode public confidence. Beyond individual factors, institutional dynamics also play a critical role. The government currently holds only a fragile majority in the House of Representatives and is in a minority position in the House of Councilors, resulting in protracted negotiations and legislative gridlock. For a prime minister pursuing an ambitious economic and fiscal agenda, ranging from tax cuts to spending adjustments and structural reforms, such constraints are formidable. In Takaichi's calculus, an early election represents the quickest path to breaking the deadlock and securing a stronger governing mandate. Yet this is precisely where the risks intensify. Popular support for the Prime Minister does not automatically translate to broad support for the LDP. Japanese voters increasingly differentiate between the sitting leader and the party apparatus, which remains closely associated with past scandals. Many LDP candidates at the local level continue to face deep skepticism. The result is a dangerous electoral equation: a well-liked prime minister paired with a party whose overall strength remains uncertain. Financial markets have already begun to reflect this tension. Yields on 10-year Japanese government bonds have climbed to their highest level in 27 years, signaling growing investor concern. Despite government assurances that no additional bonds will be issued to offset revenue losses, markets fear that an electoral victory could pave the way for looser fiscal policy. Economists warn that cutting taxes in an already stimulated economy could exacerbate inflationary pressures and undermine fiscal discipline, the last remaining anchor of investor confidence in Japan. At its core, this conflict pits short-term political incentives directly against long-term fiscal stability. If financial markets reveal investor skepticism, the political arena presents an even more unpredictable variable: the evolving structure and strategy of the opposition. For years, one of the LDP's greatest advantages lay not only in organizational strength, but also in the fragmentation of opposition forces. That dynamic, however, is changing. Major opposition parties have begun forming alliances and presenting more unified messages, significantly weakening the LDP's traditional divide-and-rule strategy. A reconfigured opposition, even if not organizationally superior, is sufficient to make the race more competitive and less predictable. Moreover, opposition parties are applying pressure through direct policy competition. While Takaichi's proposal focuses on a temporary 2-year food tax exemption, some opposition groups advocate more radical measures, such as permanently abolishing the tax or establishing a sovereign wealth fund to generate long-term revenue. Though these proposals raise questions of feasibility, they are powerful from a messaging standpoint and force the government into a defensive position. Timing further compounds the LDP's risks. A rushed campaign may maximize the Prime Minister's current popularity, but it also threatens to disrupt the legislative process, particularly the passage of next fiscal year's budget. In an economy heavily reliant on policy stability, any delay in budget approval could trigger ripple effects across business sentiment and financial markets. Even more concerning is Japan's vulnerability to external shocks during an early election period. Natural disasters, always a serious consideration, global market volatility, or abrupt shifts in U.S. trade or monetary policy could quickly alter domestic economic conditions and voter sentiment. In a tightly compressed election cycle, such uncertainties significantly widen the margin of error. Viewed from a broader perspective, the election scheduled for the 8th of the month is not merely a confidence vote on Prime Minister Takaichi, it's a stress test for Japan's political system itself. It examines the LDP's capacity for self-reform, its ability to renew its image, and its willingness to address unresolved scandals. At the same time, it challenges voters to weigh immediate benefits, such as tax relief, against the long-term sustainability of public finances and social welfare. A decisive victory would give Takaichi the political capital to reshape Japan's economic and fiscal trajectory and potentially expand room for maneuver in foreign policy. Conversely, an inconclusive outcome could usher in prolonged instability, further eroding public trust and aggravating structural challenges that have accumulated over decades. Ultimately, the dissolution of the Diet reflects the intersection of strong personal confidence and systemic pressures within Japanese politics. It's the choice of a leader seeking to seize control of events, break institutional deadlock, and secure a firmer political foundation. Yet it also exposes the system's uncertainty in confronting enduring structural problems, from fiscal sustainability and demographic aging to the erosion of trust in long-entrenched political power. Regardless of the election's outcome, its impact on Japan's political trajectory will be significant. A clear mandate could open the door to bold reforms, albeit with the responsibility of managing their long-term consequences.